Perhaps a second reason is anger is the one emotion that when it dominates, it consumes all the other emotions like a cannibal. So that where it is dominant, it's almost impossible to feel sweetness, compassion, kindness, gentleness, tenderheartedness, joy, hope, gratitude. Anger is a strangler, not just on itself. In itself, it causes enough problems, right? When it bursts out, it just messes up all kinds of relationships. But it's in there killing all the other ones that make the relationships beautiful. So, maybe Paul may have more reasons, better ones than those, for why he tackles this issue of anger in dads immediately before he even tells them to bring up the children in the discipline and admonition of the Lord. So, dads, what shall we say about this? Paul doesn't want us to make our kids mad unnecessarily. Before I start telling you what I think we should be doing, let me say something else. It's a negative. Don't make your kids mad. But I'm going to argue in a minute that one of the ways not to make your kids mad is not just to think of all the stuff that makes them mad and don't do it, but to think all the stuff that awakens those other emotions. In other words, come at this thing not just directly severing the root of all the yelling at them or hitting them when you shouldn't hit them, putting too tight limits on them, the stuff you could, okay, got to stop doing that. But rather think of all the stuff you could be doing that might awaken the very things that are being strangled by the anger. So just be aware that I don't want us to limit, just go the negative route here. I'm going to stop doing this and stop doing this and stop doing this. I've got to be more creative. I've got to look into my own soul and think about the things that maybe my dad didn't do for me, and therefore it never occurred to me to do them for my kids, and therefore they're not getting it, and therefore generation after generation we're just passing along these strangled emotions with dominant anger. So what do we do, dads? How can we be the generation where it's broken? First thing I want to say, just to give you a little bit of peace about this, is that this verse may not be used as emotional blackmail by the children. Emotional blackmail would say, I'm angry, Dad, so you're wrong. You know, it's almost funny to think anybody would take it that way. I've been here long enough and lived long enough to know some people not only think that way as a kid, they never grow out of it. My emotions are the litmus test of your love for me. If I don't feel it, you don't have it. Ever run into anybody like that? If you're not making me happy, you're sinning. If I don't feel good around you, it's your problem. Maybe, be careful. We will not let our kids blackmail us with this. Your emotions are not the measure of my affections for you. My affections for you may be defective and part of the reason you don't have the right emotions for me, but maybe not totally. It's complex, not simple. You can't have a kid throw back at you, I'm mad. This verse says not to make me mad. You're sinning. Here's the reason we know that's true. Jesus made lots of people really mad and never sinned against them, ever. They wanted to kill him. That's mad. And he never sinned. Ever. So, draw the right conclusions. All anger is not owing to being sinned against. Some is, some isn't. Just be careful. That's the first thing I wanted to say, just to have you not walk out of here and say, oh, I guess if my kid ever gets angry with me, I must have blown it because the verse says not to make him angry. No. Don't go there. This is a warning. This is a warning to dads against the huge temptation to say things, do things, neglect things that cause legitimately avoidable anger. Some anger you can't avoid, some you can. This is a verse that says, avoid all that you can in your righteous, humble, holy, Christ-like use of your God-given authority. Not all anger signifies you're sinning. Some might. Go deep with this. And if the kids are old enough, talk to them about this. It's one of the great things about having kids that grow up is that you can start asking them questions about this. Why are you mad? What did I do? Was it me? Am I the problem here? Or was it school? And you just begin to So don't just avoid the aggravators, like I said a minute ago. Do preemptive things. Not just to avoid anger, but diminish it. Pull the plug on it. You know, the Apostle Paul was an amazing model of fatherhood as a single man. Let me quote you some words as he, as a father, aches over the dysfunction between him and the Corinthian church, his children. Listen to these amazing words. This is 2 Corinthians 6:11-13. And you'll know because there's a little parenthesis. I didn't add it. Paul added it. The ESV translators put a parenthesis around it to let you know he's speaking as a father. He said this, "We have spoken freely to you, Corinthians. Our heart is wide open. You are not restricted by us, but you are restricted by your own affections. In return, parenthesis, I speak as to children, close parenthesis, widen your hearts also." You hear the ache there? He's trying to persuade them. They don't believe it probably. My heart is as wide as the ocean toward you. I want you totally in. I want everything totally out. I want no hypocrisy, nothing held back. All of me there for all of you, and you have shriveled up on me. Your heart is constricted on me. The Greek word stenokorizo or something is constrained or restricted. Your heart has gone down. It's like there was a grape full of juice and it's a raisin. It's not a raisin, it's a dried raisin. And I'm just pleading with you, let your hearts be wide toward us. So when you read things like this, let Paul, Dad, model for you how to deal with your children. Be wide-hearted toward them. Not just a little teeny heart, one emotion, anger, slipping out again and again. Just let it go wide with the whole array of God-given affections, some of them tough and lots of them tender. Just widen your heart towards your children. Think of it this way, or think of this. God has never done anything that should legitimately cause anger in